Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to our session for MSW-17. I am Dr. Chabi Dubey, and I will be taking the counseling session for the classes. Now, we started with the course yesterday, and we had already done with the first block for MSW-17. Now, today we are going to start with the second block, which is again an extension of what we have done yesterday. It basically talks about the contemporary methods of social work. So the second block is all about the other contemporary methods of social work, different from what we have discussed yesterday. So I'll start sharing my screen with you. So, in this particular block, we are going to discuss the methods of strength-based practice. We will talk about public interest litigation as a method in social work, and also awareness campaigns as a method of social work. So, these three methods, which are contemporary and which have been used nowadays most by social workers and other development professionals, and basically their linkages with other methods of social work, how they can be linked and worked alongside with other methods of social work, which we have already discussed till now. So, the first unit is about the strengths based practice as a method in social work. Now, strength based practice, we can say it is a collaborative process between the person who is supported by services and those supporting them. So, basically, it is a collaborative process between the client and the social worker, which allows them to work together to determine an outcome that will draw on the person's strength and assets. And it also helps the person see opportunities, also try and look out for solutions rather than just focusing on the problems, and feel more hopefulness about the situation. It is something that governs the way people think about themselves, the way they go about doing their work on a daily basis for all actions and interactions. Now, it is just not about denying that people do experience problems and challenges, and that these issues need to be taken into consideration on a more holistic approach. But strength based practice in social work practice theory, it is this approach emphasizes people's self determination and strength. So basically, it is can be considered as a philosophy, as a way of living, or a way of viewing clients as resourceful and resilient, who have the capacity to come back after whatever failures or whatever problems they face in their life. It's a client centered approach with a focus on the future outcomes and strength that people bring to a problem or to a crisis. It's basically more also called as, sometimes called as, an asset based approach, because we see the client as an asset. Okay, and that is why it's known as an asset based approach, where we will focus basically on the strength, their capacities, and their inherent ability to to overcome any problem that they are facing in their life. Now, it is this approach does not focus much on the problem or whatever is causing the issue here. The idea is to focus on the strength of the people and try and improvise that part. So this is basically, it's the actual practices of identifying, acknowledging, and working with the strength of individuals. There are some key areas of strength based practice. First of all, it assesses the inherent strength of a person, or maybe a family, or a group, or a community, and then it builds on them. Secondly, it uses people's personal strengths to aid in recovery and empowerment. So it's kind of an empowering approach. It is also an alternative to traditional therapies, which typically describe family functioning in terms of psychiatric diagnosis or deficits. So basically, it has been viewing till now, that most of focusing the focus of these therapies has been more on the malfunctions or on the diagnosis, but this is based more on an empowering alternative. Then it avoids use of stigmatizing language or terminologies, and it believes that families, groups, or individuals, they have the capacity to help themselves. And it is basically opposite to a victim identity. Okay, it says that basically, uh, uh, it's generally, you may say that it is epitomized in popular culture by the appearance of individuals on television, okay, with sharing intimate details of their problems, which is inherently self-defeating. So basically, we do not say that the individual is the victim, or because, or maybe he or she is facing the problem because of somebody else, but we think more about the solutions rather than focusing on the root of the on the basically the cause of the problem. Then it fosters hope by focusing on what is or has been historically successful for the person, thereby exposing a precedent successes as a groundwork for realistic expectations. And then it also talks of inventories. Okay, so it's like positive building blocks that already exist in environment that can serve as a foundation for growth and change. Then it also reduces the power and authority barrier between the person and the therapist. So we do not consider the therapist as the one who is having power over somebody else. It reduces this kind of a discrimination or a barrier. And families in this way, they are more interested in any process where they feel that they are an integral part of it. And finally, in most of the cases, it has been very successful. So these are some of the important key areas of strengths based practice, as we have discussed. Now, here we will understand a little bit what exactly is meant by strength. Now, strength, it refers to the different elements that help or enable the individual, group, or community to deal with the challenges that they're facing in life. Okay, and these elements, these include the personal resources, abilities, skills, knowledge, potential, etc. Then social work network and its resources, abilities, skills, etc. And finally, the community resources like the social capital or the universal resources. These are included as the elements of the strength part. Now, if we go to the philosophy and the principle, then basically it views clients as resourceful and resilient in the face of adversity. It means that they have the inherent capacity to do away or to resolve any matter or any problem or any challenges, and at the same time they are resilient. They can survive in the face of adversity, and it is also considered a method of practice. People are resourceful and they are capable of solving their own problems. And it definitely does not give a lot of importance to the problem per se or the limitations or weakness of the individual. It basically collaborates with the client system, and it identifies what the client has to offer in terms of his own personal strength and resources. Okay, so that he or she can enhance the inherent capacity that they have to resolve the problems and improve the quality of life. There are certain principles that are involved in the strengths based practice. First of all, there has to be a complete belief that every person has a potential, to grow and, to potential strength. Then people are recognized that having much strengths and have the capacity to continue to learn, grow, and change. Then they also focus of intervention is on the strength and the aspirations of the people. Communities and social environments are seen as being full of resources, like there is no dearth of resources per se. Service providers collaborate with the people they work with, and interventions are both based more on self determination. That is, the client decides what type of intervention do they need. Also, there is a commitment to empowerment. Okay, that is providing informed choices to the people. People are recognized as having much strength and have the capacity to continue to learn, grow, and change. There is also a belief that change is inevitable, and all individuals, they have the urge to succeed, to explore the world around them, and make themselves useful to others and their communities. And lastly, let the primary focus of need should be given importance to the person and not to the problem. So basically, here the focus is solely on the person or the client per se. Now, there are certain key elements of the strengths based practice. Excuse me. First of all, is a goal orientation. Now, generally, strength based practices are always goal oriented. Okay, the central and the most critical domain of any approach is the degree to which the people themselves set goals. So they will always have some goal, depending upon what exactly are the expectations of the client, what is the primary focus, what intervention is required, all these. Then strength assessment. We will assess what the strength of an individual, what how in what manner they can respond to any difficult situation, whatever our role is as a social worker. And so basically this assessment is something which is done to understand the available resources with the client and their strength at the disposal. Then third is the resources from the environment. Now this also, it believes that the environment is also full of resources. There is, as such, there is no dearth of resources, and resources are easily available not only to the client but also to the social workers. And that is why we say that we believe in utilizing resources from the environment. Target attainment. Target intervention is based on the strengths assessed. Okay, so here we will be assisting the client to set goals before identification of the strength, and based on the strength assessed, the target intervention plan is set. The relationship is hope inducing. So whatever the strength based approach, it aims to increase the hopefulness of the client, make them feel more positive and more positive about the situation, and that everything is going to work out ultimately. Then meaningful choice. Now this means that the strength proponents, they highlight a collaborative stance where people are experts in their own lives. Okay, so here we are basically encouraging the people to make their own decisions and choices. Then improving the social connections, that is networking, asserting that people within social networks, they have more insight into their strengths, talents, and challenges. And definitely, so we will be focusing more on the social network of the client. Then it's about building resilience. Okay, so it is basically um, leads to a sense of well-being and greater quality of life. They often build on family and community interactions and the knowledge. Then we come to the different types of approaches. Now, the strength based approaches can work at different levels. So, we can work at the level of the individual, at the level of associations and organizations, including communities. Okay, and these methods are now increasingly used by the social workers. The focus of this insight is to better understand the use of the strengths based practice for transforming the relationship between practitioners and people who are supported by services. The insight will provide an overview of the evidence of the methods that align most closely to this focus and will present selected illustrative examples. So here they have given certain examples here and certain um, which will help us to understand basically the approaches. Now, solution focused therapy. Solution focused therapy is basically what people want to achieve rather than it's basically focuses on the solution. So it will not focus on the problems of the people, but it will focus on the solution of the people. So it's basically encouraging people who are supported by the services to focus on determining their own pathways and solutions to reach their goals. Then strengths-based case management, it combines a focus on individuals' strengths with three other principles. One is promoting the use of informal supportive networks, that means largely the community, and basically how you can involve community more by case managers, emphasizing the relationship between the client and the case manager. And this is an approach that helps participants achieve specific desired outcomes. And implementation of the strength based case management has been attempted in a variety of fields, like specifically in counseling, in mental health, in area of school counseling, in working with substance abuse, in working with with the senior citizens as well as the children and families. So these areas have all opened this. There is this traditional deficit focused approach with focusing on the deficit problems, pathologies, and diseases. Now, throughout its history, we may say that social work has been, seen as a problem-solving profession. Okay, so here, uh, the foundation of social work during the past 100 years has been the traditional problem solving model, sometimes called as a positivistic or deficit or medical model. And this model is rooted in the cultural and belief systems. Now, the preoccupation with the problems, deficits has dominated the attention of social work since its early development, and in this way it has led to an understanding of families at risk and in need of some kind of intervention. Now this approach focuses on deficit may dismiss family strength and resources and also motivation to change. Again, another approach is the problem solving approach. Here, this structure prescribes that the specialist must diagnose the client's disease before being able to treat it effectively. Another aspect of the medical model is the idea that the client's problem and whatever gives rise to it are objectively real, just an organ malfunction. It may happen. So the generic structure of the problem solving is following, um, first defining the nature of the problem. So this is how the problem solving is usually done. We determine the nature of the problem and then intervention, and then we plan the intervention. This is how the problem solving approach is function. Then is the narrative. Narrative has been used by practitioners to help elucidate the strength of individuals and communities. Here, the practitioners they use this approach, assume that hidden inside any problem is a story of strength and resilience. So, what we are trying to do is tell those stories, tell those narratives through which we can create an atmosphere where people are able to see these or read these stories of resilience. Family support services, it's frequently um, generally it is basically these services are offered to families before their difficulties become too severe. Now, aim of the family support services, it generally include responding in a supportive manner to families where children's welfare is under threat and reducing risk to children by enhancing family life and developing existing strengths of the parents. So this approach is generally, it benefits families by influencing their engagement in the program, also by increasing the family efficacy and the empowerment and providing them with an opportunity to empower themselves. Now there are certain skills that needs to be practiced when we are talking about strengths based practice. Now they are now here okay. Now, generally, when we are talking about strengths-based practice, then one important point that comes over here is basically how we assess the strength of individuals. What are the tools do we require, you know, which would help us to assess what resources are at the disposal of the for the client, and what are the strengths which can be displayed by the individual. Now there is a need to build a climate of optimism and confidence and hope and possibility which has effective outcome. Now, the first tool here of the self assessment tool that we will be talking about is the self assessment tool. Now, this provides people or families with self assessment, so they are able to see where do they stand. Okay, there are a lot of questions that we need to that have to be asked when we are talking about self assessment, and these are the some of the list of those questions, like asking about the distressing problems you have faced earlier, or what do you enjoy doing, what talents and skills do you have, and all of these questions, these can be done for the self assessment tool. After the self assessment tool is what is known as the case study. Now, here we will be doing the case study, that is, we will be looking at in different individual cases, and now, depending upon the client who comes to ask for our help, and this helps us to basically doing a case study helps us to assess the strength of individuals. Now, here there are certain strengths that they have been given, and some problems for some examples, for illustration and understanding. One is the problem, and here is the problem, and here is the strength. So, this is basically for you to just understand how we assess the strength, and in different situations, how these strengths are actually seen in individuals. So, you may just go through this. Now, here we come to the application of the strength based practice. Now, how it can be applied. Now, these are applied when we are working with individuals, that is when we are doing a social casework. These are also included when we are working with groups. So basically, even in case of social group work, a strength-based practice can be applied. It is also applied when we are working with the communities. So in communities, in community work or in community organization work, we you can use these strengths-based practice. Now, here we will discuss about the linkages of the strength-based practice and the, um, its linkage with other methods of social work. So, how social work methods like casework, group work, community organization, social welfare administration, social action, etc. All of these, how they are related to the strengths-based practice. Now, we have already studied that the strength based practice is a collaborative process between the persons supported by services and those that provide the services. Okay, and now here it is important to understand that the strength based approach is not about, uh, thinking that the problem is absent. We do not think here that the problem is absent, but rather than focusing on the problem, our focus shifts to the solution. So we try and see the solution here. Now, how social case work and strength based practice is important. Now, again, this is very relevant in case of social case work, because when we are working in social case work, we are dealing with individuals. And when we are dealing with individuals and their client, it is all the more it is all the more relevant, excuse me, to understand the the positive strengths or the positive points of the individual, so that we can help that person, we can help that individual to overcome the problem in and basically come to some suitable solution to their problem. So basically here we can also so this strengths based practice is very much it goes very well with the social casework. This is specifically when we see the work in countries, a lot of uh, the clients, they are having a lot of facilities to approach agencies for counseling and referral services. But in India, this is rather limited, because we already know that generally in India, the clients are the issues related to the clients are a little different. Not only they are different, but also the traditional family background, it makes the people lesser aware about their work, lesser aware about the family, the society, the environment. And since they also come from generally backward environments, like may come from tribal communities, they may come from rural communities, they generally do not have much knowledge about lot of things. And here this is where that the casework, it plays a very crucial role, in helping them overcome whatever problem that they are facing. So obviously, you can say that this is very much relevant to the practice of social casework. Now, when we're dealing with social group work, how it can be dealt in social group work. Now, in group work, we are generally working with groups. So, we will be working with a number of individuals. We can, at this point, we can also say that um, these group work, the group work that we do as social workers can be taken as an opportunity to actually help the person come out of the problem. And when we are focusing on strengths based practice, that means that we are not just helping the who they have. And so in this way, um, uh, you know uh, uh, empowering people becomes a possibility. Then community organization and the strengths based practice. Now, in a democratic society like India, community organization and strengths based practice, they become more relevant. So basically, we say that when we are working in a community, we may be dealing with different problems of the community, where there may be certain common problems, okay, general problems that the community is facing, or there may be certain individual problems. There may be some individual problems also concerning some individuals. So basically, this often the strengths based practice often gives an opportunity to the worker to not only help the group in overcoming their shared problems, but also overcoming their inherent individual problems. So basically this has a wider approach when we are working with community. So it's not just one person who is benefiting, but it's a whole group within the community that is benefiting. Then we come to the social welfare administration and strengths based practice. Now, this help strength based practice are very relevant, for social self governments, for institutions like them, for central and state governments or non governmental organizations, all of these. The strength of the individuals, groups, or families, communities, agencies, organizations, all of these are effectively enhanced through the practice of social welfare administration. Okay, and this extensively benefit on the same time from the strength based practice method. Why? Because once we try and take out the best in every individual, this is again reflected in the overall working of the group. Now, then we come to the social action and the strength based practice. Now, social action, we all know, is basically a combined action of people to provide solutions to a pressing problem, um, which is currently there. So, basically, we say that any imminent problem or any thing that may be faced by a community, any problem that is faced by a community, this method of social action is it can be used to overcome that problem. And the method itself rests heavily on other methods, like you have the casework method, you have the group work method, and like casework, like community organization, research, and the contemporary methods of social work, namely the organized base, like the strength, like the resource mobilization, networking, advocacy, litigation, awareness campaign, all of these are very much related to social action. And uh, now, social work research. Now, social work research, as we know, is basically talking about um, finding out more information about some particular aspect of the study, or maybe some studying some social phenomena in a very scientific manner, or in a phased manner. Now, this going to add new knowledge to our social work theory and practice, and this will strengthen the practice of different social work methods. So the strength-based social work method is directly connected to the social work research, and it brings about strength to the profession and its practice. Um, okay, arena based on the outcome of research on the target population and problems. Now, this is basically whenever we may say that one of the core values of social work profession, as we say, is that of competence. Now, if the profession has to address the emerging issues in the present scenario, where the environment is changing at a very fast pace, then we understand that research will occupy a very important position, because we need to be aware of the changes that are happening so fast. And once we come to know about these changes, then we will be able to work for the society in a better way, and our work can be made more effective, our interventions can be made more effective. So that is why we say that basically social work research and strengths based practice, they are very much relevant to each other. And here also we are giving a lot of emphasis on the strengths of the researcher. Okay. And also on maybe other stakeholders who are involved in this particular uh, method. Then networking and strength based practice, again it is important, because when we network, when we form network, it is basically developing and activating social workers relationship to enhance their knowledge and also expand the service sphere to the client. Generally what happened, that strengths based method is a source of support for practicing effective net worth with government bodies and various institutions, could be even donor agencies or bilateral agencies. Now, this requires the social workers to know the strengths of the diverse population and institutions, and to build relationships. Now, these social connections, they allow social workers to help individuals, groups, and organizations to find allies. Networking methods and strengths based methods are very much interrelated to each other, because when we are networking, um, one needs to enlist the strengths required and available with the individuals, groups, and communities for a particular issue or a problem. Okay, so we will understand that how this organization can help us, or how an individual can help us, to finally, what we may say, providing suitable, solutions to the problems. Then advocacy and strengths based practice. Now, we have already seen yesterday about advocacy. Advocacy is basically standing for somebody else. So, this definitely requires a lot of strength based practice, as in not only on the part of the social worker who has to represent the client, but also on the part of the client who will be required to speak for on the to speak for themselves. So basically, it is not just the social worker who will be talking on behalf of the client, but also we have to understand that working for these things, like maybe providing support, uh, uh, modifying policies or procedures or practices that adversely impact people. We have to definitely require a lot of services and resources at our disposal. And in this way, we say that basically strength based practice, since it's a collaborative process between the person supported by services and those supporting them, it allows them to work together to determine an outcome that draws on the person's strengths and assets. Then we come to resource mobilization and the strengths based practice. Now we know that resource mobilization is basically raising different types of resources for the organization. So it is very much basic to strength based method, as it operates on the resources of the client system. So where the individual, group, or a community strength based method helps to uh, strength based method uh, aim to mobilize the internal and external resources available to the client and build to the available strength. So, in this way, both are very much interrelated and interdependent on each other. Then we come to the PIL and the strength based practice. Now, it is basically it is focused on a deficit oriented approach. We know that strength based approach is focused on deficit oriented approach to the possibilities or what works. And that is the strength based perspective is it has become a way to assess, treat, and empower children and youth alike for achieving their highest potential. PIL is basically an alternative to the conventional methods of law. This is it is they can play very complementary role to the strength-based methods. We can say that. And in the field of protection of environment, corruption-free administration, right to education, rule of law, good governance and accountability, these all can be made used to enhance resilience and strengths of the individuals, and this can help the clients to draw strength from their own hidden energy. And that is why public interest litigation will not only provide a legal means of uh, uh, providing help to the client, but it will also strengthen the overall strengthen not only an individual but also the whole community, okay, which will for whose benefit, or for whose rights or their interest the PIL has been filed. Okay. Okay, after this trends-based practice, we come to the concept of public interest litigation as a method of social work, or PIL as it is called shortly. Now, what exactly is public interest litigation? Let us first understand this. Now, PIL is a means of a legal action which is initiated in a court of law for the enforcement of the public interest or the general interest in which the public or class of the community have some interest by which the legal rights or liabilities are affected. Now, this is not deficit in any status, statute, or in any act, but the law has been interpreted by the judges to consider the intent of the public at large. Now, prior to 1980s, it was only the aggrieved party which could personally knock the doors of justice. But after that, it has become, it is no longer, it's uh, Okay, sorry. So prior to 1980s, we can say that the aggrieved party could personally knock the doors of justice and seek remedy for one's grievance. Okay, and other any other person who was not directly involved in the matter, or who had no stake in that matter, was allowed to appear the courts. But this gradually changed, the scenario gradually changed, and the Supreme Court tackled the problem of access to justice by people through the radical changes and alternative alterations made in the requirement of locus standi and of the party aggrieved. Now, here we need to understand that further public interest cases, they could be filed without any investment of heavy court fee. But when we are talking about private civil litigation, then they definitely require quite a substantial amount of court fees. The scenario that was there prior to 1980s, it changed gradually with the um after the later on the scenario changed gradually, and now now in India there is more uh, say on or rather you can say that in India today PIL has become very important, even more important than personal litigation, because PIL as such looks after the interest of a larger group or a larger population, which was earlier not the case. People could only take up their individual cases to the law, but today they can not only find it, but also the court can take action suo moto. That means on their own to actually consider an important service to our community. Now, first here we will try and see the origin of the PIL. Now, PIL, we know that it originated in the United States in the mid 1960s, and this uh, uh, although its office can be traced to even before that, where prior to the legal aid, as part of the legal aid movement, and but in the 1960s, the PIL movement began to receive quite financial help from the Office of the Economic Opportunity, and thus it became very important. So issues like any environmental concerns or harms to public health, exploitation of the vulnerable masses, exploitation of consumers, or injustice to the weaker sections. All of these are, considered to be topics which can be considered as suitable, reasons for filing a PIL before the court of law. In India, this concept it started towards the end of the 1970s, and it came into full bloom in the 1980s. So Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer and Justice P.N. Bhagwati. These have delivered some landmark judgments on PIL, and they have done a lot to actually, uh, you know, make this concept more renowned, more known to people, and in so that the best interest of the people of the community can be served. Now, there are certain salient features of PIL that we need to understand. First of all, is that PIL is often remedial in nature. Okay, it is generally incorporated as part four. It is indirectly incorporated as part fourth of the Constitution of India into part three of the Constitution, where we can say that generally it provides, you can say, as a remedy, to any problem arising. Then second, it is representative standing. That is seen as a creative expansion of the well accepted standing exception, which allows a third party to file a habeas corpus petition. So basically, the person may not be directly, maybe the person may not be directly impacted by the problem or by the circumstance, but he or she can file a PIL, so it has a representative standing. Third is a citizen standing. That is, the doctrine of citizen standing marks a significant expansion of the court's rule for protector of individual rights to guardians of the rule of law whenever it is threatened by official lawlessness. So basically, it can also be used for, in cases where there is some kind of, disservice done by some officer, or some corruption practices, or some other malpractices being accepted by the being done by a officer. Then it is also a non-adversarial litigation. It we Here the Supreme Court has rightly put that the um, that with all the emphasis at our command that public interest litigation is a totally different kind of litigation from the ordinary traditional litigation, and this is essentially of an adversary character, where there is a dispute between two litigation parties, one making claim or seeking relief against the other, and that other opposing such claim or resisting such relief. So basically, it has two aspects. You can say that one is the collaborative litigation, that is, the claimant, the court, and the government or the public official, or are all are in collaboration to see the basic human rights become meaningful for the large masses. It is basically to protect the rights of the individuals. And secondly, we may say that it is also an investigative litigation. That means it investigated the cases, or the reports. Okay, it works on the report of the registrar or the district magistrate, comments of experts, newspapers, etc. Then we may say that it has certain crucial aspects. That is, it is quite flexible, and also we may say that uh, there is a relaxation of the strict rule of locus standi. Locus standi means that basically the person who is filing the case, it is, as we've already discussed, it's a representative standing, and it has a citizen standing. So they need not follow the the locus standi rule. That is, this it is not something that they have to be one of the sufferers in this case, or or a person who has suffered from that thing. I mean, it can be done by any person who can file it for the larger public interest. Then it is also an epistolary jurisdiction. That is, it the judicial activism gets its highest bonus, you know. And when we say that it orders something which is unburdening for certain individual, or or you can say that something which really takes people out of a difficult situation, and this is somehow different from collective action. And we may say that it provides an important platform, for the people who are without resources, who cannot have approached the court of law, or have a person, or a legal counselor to help them, out, or to even take them out of the situation. So basically it is a very big help to such people without resources. Now there is a procedure for filing PIL. Just like we file a general writ in the high court or a supreme court, we can file the PIL also. It can be filed in the High Court in a similar manner as a writ, and also in the Supreme Court. The person who files has to pay a court fee of 50 rupees per respondent. And then the procedure of the PIL, it commences in the same manner as other cases. However, if in between the proceedings, if the judge feels that we need to um, uh, inspect these allegations, if the judge feels, he may appoint a committee to inspect the allegations, or whatever problem that are being mentioned here. And then again, the question comes, when can a PIL be filed? So basically, there are some of the possible areas where a public interest litigation can be filed. You can just go through these areas, which will where the litigation can be filed, like this. Now, who can file a PIL? So it can be filed by any person, individual, or an organization who can take up this case in the best interest of the public. And it has to be, and whom, against whom the public interest litigation can be filed. So it can be filed against the state government, or the central government, or any other local self government, but against um, okay, then these are some of the issues that can be taken up for PIL, like trafficking, child labor, uh, uh, matters relating to pollution and soil conservation, then mining and illegal poaching, on rehabilitation of displaced persons, matters of illegal detention and arrest, on custodial death, torture. Then it could be also in protection of prisoners' rights pertaining to agriculture and farming, jail reforms, speedy trials of under trials, atrocities against SC/STs. Okay, then it could be in favor of adoption of children, or corruption charges against public servants. It could be related to legal aid to the poor, starvation, death, or unauthorized eviction. So it can be done in so many different issues, where the PIL can be filed by individuals or organizations. Now, although a lot of misuse of late has also been done, there are serious concerns regarding the PIL, and these concern has been expressed at various levels and various periods of time. But it still remains an important tool at the hands of the common man, you know, to speak for the protection of rights of the people who are not able to do that, who are not able to stand for themselves due to their, lack of resources or incapacity or any other reason. Now, there are certain factors that have contributed to the growth of PIL in India. And first of all is um, that since India has a written constitution, okay, so a lot of thing it provides a framework for regulating relations between the state and the citizens. So that is why this is one of the reason where PIL has come into, has become more popular. Then second is that India has a very progressive social legislation, compared to many other countries. This has made it easier for the courts to, haul up the executive when they're not performing their duties together. Also, liberal interpretation of local standi, where any person can apply to the court on behalf of those who are economically or physically unable to come before for help. Also, uh, courts, irrespective of the fact that social and economic rights given by the Indian Constitution are not, they are not legally enforceable, but courts have creatively read these into fundamental rights, thereby making them judicially enforceable. So they can be judicially enforced, and in this manner, um, you know, in this manner, we may say that this is also one of the factor that has increased that. Also, there is an increased sensitivity among the judges in all the different court of law, and definitely this has led them to, allow these PIL in their courts. These There have been cases where the petitioner is not in a position to provide all the necessary evidence, because maybe because it's voluminous, or because the parties are weak socially or economically. So the courts, they have also appointed commissions to collect information. So that way they have, supported directly the, we can say, the cause of these PIL. And these are some of the reasons why PIL has become very, popular among the people. Now, there are a number of challenges, when we talk about filing PIL, there are a lot of challenges. It's not that, when it comes to maybe whether the PIL will be accepted or not, how genuine the case is in the PIL, whether it's a genuine case that they have come up with, or maybe it is just um, misuse of the, PIL. Then also there are, set of other problems. Also the huge number of PIL that has piled up in the cases of late. Then sometimes they are given more priority, they are given greater priority over other cases, so that becomes quite a problematic situation. Also, Despite the order of for relief, some the follow up to that order is generally poor in most of the cases. So the PIL actually loses its uh, meaning in the first place. Also, a lot of criticism is set to the judiciary that they are overstepping the boundaries of their jurisdiction, and you know it is being misused by the people, and all of these things are some of the challenges before PIF. But despite that, it is not an exaggeration to say that public interest litigation has come up as one of the most powerful and most valuable source or method for people who are genuinely interested in providing relief to the people who cannot fight for themselves. Now, what is the linkage of PIL with other methods in social work? Now, okay, the first is the social casework and PIL. Now, we know that social casework was one of the earliest method of professional social work, and that there is a very strong focus on working with the client, individual client, and seeking to provide solutions to his or her problem. And public interest litigation is very important and is very relevant in this regard. Um, for example, many times we know that there may be certain factors, maybe internal or external, which may cause that individual to suffer. Sometimes legislative and policy gaps in the governance system may also lead to an individual problem. Such issues can be effectively handled through PIL. For example, maybe this can be the case where maybe like a person maybe has been uh, behind the bars for a couple of years, and because of the long line of cases that are there, he or she is not being able to come out of the prison, and there is a lot of hardship that their family has to undergo. Now this is a very ready case for filing a PIL, and so this is basically um, this is so these are important such cases. Another such case where this PIL was a sexual harassment at workplace. This is the we're talking about uh, the Vishakha guidelines that came up later. It was made into a legislation, and uh, here basically we may say that these individual cases, they provide a good insight into how PIL can be used very effectively in taking up casework. Then social group work and PIL also, they go hand in hand. Often the problems that are faced by a group, they may be also related to some of the maybe problems caused by or non-effective services provided by the government, or maybe maybe something. maybe, or generally by the some legislation which may be affecting the group of individuals negatively. So in this way, PIL can be filed on behalf of those groups. For example, maybe an act which has um, made the a negative impact on a group, like say farmers, or maybe protecting the tribals against forceful eviction, or maybe atrocities committed by the forest officers on the tribals. So many cases have occurred like that. In fact, there are a number of good films also which have actually come up in saying how this public interest litigation was filed, and how this particular case in one of the cases in South India, where actually this was all about falsely convicting the members of the particular tribal group over there, and then they were actually tortured, and they were some one of them actually even had one of them even died during the third degree torture that was done. So a PIL was filed to actually find out about investigate the cases of death and custodial death and others and other such convictions that happened. And so such these are actually good examples how PIL has helped in providing justice to group of people. Then there is also this community organization and PIL. Again, there can be a lot of cases where particular community has suffered from certain, atrocity or certain injustice. Could be maybe eviction of a tribal community, forceful eviction of a tribal community, or it could be, so many other factors, so many other matters which can be linked to how PIL can actually help individuals, groups, as well as communities in overcoming the problems, or how this method is very much relevant to these three methods of social casework, social group work, and community organization. Then social welfare administration and PIL, these are also again very much interrelated, and there has been cases where the Supreme Court has, intervened. Specifically, this is in special relating to a case on, forest protection of the forest against encroachments and administrative apathy. So this is again, this example has been cited to explain the interrelationship between social welfare administration and PIL. And social action and PIL is again, it is again, these two are also very much interrelated to each other, since social action plays a very vital intervention role for new laws, repeal or modify an older one, and an honest implementation of the existing law. And there has been cases where the relationship of this method with PIL can be explained through this Parmanan Katara versus the Union of India case, in which the court held that it's a paramount obligation of every member of the medical profession to give medical aid to every injured citizen as soon as possible, without waiting for any procedural formality. So earlier there was a time whenever there was some um, case of accident, or or attempt suicide or attempt murder, or such things, then there has to be a lot of procedural delays, costed even the life of individuals. So this was actually taken up by the as a PIL to the courts, and courts came up with this, that an immediate aid to such injured person is the need, and without they need not wait for the other procedural formalities to finish these procedural formalities. So we can say that over the period of time, PIL have made a very important dent on the overall administrative environment and social environment, and a lot of changes in the working of the administration, lot of changes in the working of organizations in the governance system have come up because of the PIL that have been filed from time to time by individuals and organizations alike. Then this is similar way it is research to social. It is very much related to social work research, where people whenever some research comes up with certain which may highlight a particular practice as being harmful to the majority, then such PIL can be filed, and people can, and the courts may come up with such um, uh, with such solutions to or where these practices can actually be stopped by the court of law. Then networking and PIL. Now this is again very important because until unless social workers or organizations are networking with each other, they will not be able to know the situation. At times, networking also provides great deal of help to each other in terms of resource mobilization, providing different resources to each other, and also supporting each other in this fight for justice. So this networking and PIL also goes hand in hand. A lot of information sharing and knowledge sharing can be done because of networking. Awareness campaigns and PIL, this is again important. Awareness campaign is basically facilitating the flow of information, to the various members of the society. And so a PIL can be actually having a very positive impact on awareness campaign, and an awareness campaign may also have a very positive effect on PIL. Both actually go hand in hand. So, for example, maybe if you're working on an awareness campaign, okay, then in order to as and when you are getting information, as and when you are, um, having more and more supporters in your side, then it can have a very positive impact for the case. If a PIL is, filed on the same on a similar problem or on the problem, and at the same time a PIL can also have a can have a positive can be taken in a very uh, or maybe we can say that a PIL has greater chances of getting accepted in the court of law or having a positive, judgment in the favor if this knowledge is disseminated through awareness campaigns, and the courts, they're also able to come up with a lot of such um, uh, things in their favor. Advocacy and PIL are also very much interrelated to each other, and both are supporting each other in this. So maybe generally it is the advocates who may plead in the court of law, who may file PIL, and on the other hand, file maybe who if anybody files a PIL, then that may also give a very strong messages to the advocates who are working on that particular issue. So they are thus it's a very you may say that it basically supports each other, both advocacy and PIL. Now, resource mobilization and PIL, again, they are important because whenever we are filing PIL, there are a lot of resources that we need to mobilize, not in terms of not only in terms of gathering information and other such technical assistance, and um, uh, for example, when we are filing PIL, we need to have information relating to that issue. We need to have evidences in our favor. So we can also get a lot of technical help from people. We may get a lot of information and knowledge sharing on those issues. So they are definitely related to each other. Strengths based practice and PIL is also again important because both of them are actually for enhancing the potential of individuals. So when we're talking about strengths based practice, we mean that how we can enhance the capacities of individual. And PIL also has a similar uh, you know objective. When we are dealing with PIL, when we are filing PIL, it is to safeguard the interest of a population. So definitely both of them are having the same objectives. So this is basically what gives us a good understanding of PI of the various contemporary issues, specifically PIL, and how it is related to other practices. Again, another important method that we can include is the awareness campaign method. Now, awareness campaign method is basically a method which is used to raise awareness among the public. Okay, and it is basically making them giving them information about the actual the issue, making them building familiarity to a desirable behavior, or promoting improving in terms of um, the improvise their behaviors and beliefs with the intention of influencing them positively for achievement of a defined purpose or a goal. So this is what awareness campaigns are all about. So they intend to change, bring about attitudinal and behavioral changes, okay, which are highly complex, and it's a highly complex and complicated process. And this is done by disseminating information. Now, a campaign in this way will typically involve four key actions. Okay, first is researching the issue, exactly what the issue is all about. Secondly, mobilizing support and supporters. Third, informing the public, and fourth is lobbying the decision makers. So, first, we will research the issue, try and gather as much information as possible. Second, try to mobilize support and supporters. So we will try to mobilize people in our favor. Third, we will inform the public. We will try and inform the larger public. Okay. And finally, we will try to lobby the decision makers, try to sway the decision makers in our favor. So basically, it has to be a very well planned and a thought out processes. It's a thought out process, and it's one of the most efficient and effective means of communication, communicating information about a particular issue. Okay, which generally pertains to a large and geographical dispersed body of people. Now, what are the objectives of awareness campaign? First is to sensitize a target audience on an issue. Second is influencing the policymakers. Third is increasing support and gaining the public interest. Fourth is bridging the knowledge gap on any particular issue, defying negative perceptions, and finally reframing the conversation. So we may say that there are, a lot of p- uh, awareness campaigns uh, are efforts in multiple domains, um, and here we have a list of related concepts basically, where first we talk about a public awareness campaign, which is a comprehensive effort which includes multiple domains. Okay, and to help reach a specific objective. So this could be in the form of, messaging, campaigning, public speaking, grassroots outreach, media relations, government affairs, all of these. But public awareness campaign is not just about, using the media or, television commercials or media for fundraising. It goes beyond that. Now, there are certain principles that would be involved in awareness campaign. First is imbibing social work values. So, all these values of social work that we see in terms of service, social justice, importance of human relationship, dignity, worth of an individual and others, all of these value, they have to be there when we are talking about the awareness campaign. Secondly, the principle of addressing the community and the client needs. We have to address the needs of the client and the community at large who we are serving. Thirdly, giving importance to cultural sensitivity. Be more sensitive to the cultural feelings of people who do not belong to the same cultural group. And client centered approach, having a more client centered or approach or targets audience centered approach is basically when we design them according to their needs. Then principle of goal clarity, that means that we need to have the clarity of what we want to achieve, our objectives, our goals, they need to be predefined. And the principle of planning and reviewing, a technical component, the process of continuous planning and reviewing periodically is very fundamental to developing a good and effective awareness campaign program. And it should be participatory as far as possible. And so a continuous planning and reviewing is something which is important. Then principle of message specificity, it means that it needs to be understandable and appealing to the target audience. And there's a principle of participation, having the target audience participate in the process. Clear cut communication is very essential. And sustainable and positive changes, whatever changes are coming, they should be positive and sustainable at the same time. Okay. And then there is a principle of cost effectiveness. They should we need to try to keep these campaigns as cost effective as possible. And build and design an inherent system of feedback which we can actually say for our campaign. So these were some of the principles, and there are certain elements for an effective public awareness campaign. First is we need to develop a broad support system. Only then we will we may expect an effective campaign. Second, need to have diverse activities built in that campaign. Could be fundraising, educational speeches, it could be use of educational flyers or concerts, street dramas, research studies. All of these may be used to make our campaign more effective. Accurate and concise message should be given through our campaign, so which is easily understandable by the people. And it is not having any kind of a uh, you know uh, 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 it should have a lot of clarity. Now, there are certain requirements for public awareness campaign. First of all, is securing the right software. Needs to have the right platform to build and engage key audiences. Okay. Then grassroots plan grassroots organization or outreach. That is working with the at the grassroots level, going to the people, making them participate in the work. So this is generally something which is important. Also, working with the community leaders. Okay. So, working with the community leaders, involving them in the campaign is definitely going to increase the overall participation in the campaign. Develop champions, as in people who would support, who would, work or actively work on the behalf of the campaign. Engaging with government, working with them, building a relationship with the government, creating a media relations strategy. How are we going to present ourselves, in the media, multiple media, like it could be social media, it could be newspapers, etc. Then also developing a comprehensive implementation plan. How you develop a comprehensive invitation implementation plan for how we will implement the campaign, and leveraging complementary programs. So basically, or any complementary programs which will support our campaign, our core campaign, we need to think about them. Then have a more national, statewide, and regional efforts. So, depending upon what we want to achieve, which issue are we talking about, we need to, increase our efforts to national, statewide, and regional efforts. Pay attention to fundraising and budgeting, because nothing can be done without, funds or resources. So this must be definitely looked into, and create collateral materials. So, creating or developing materials specifically for the goals and tactics of the campaign. Okay, so this is something which is required, certain requirements for a successful campaign. Then there are certain strategies for effective public awareness campaign. First is rationalizing the three theme for awareness campaigns who need assessment. Secondly, we will collect and consolidate the facts. Okay, create and develop key messages about the issue. Ensure that the campaign team understand and deliver the key message, and engaging the media in our work, identifying the target audiences and making sure that the message reaches them, and engaging the audiences, creating public awareness campaign, using the website, social media, and the print materials to spread the message, and finally evaluating the campaigning process. All of these are some of the strategies that we can use. There are certain factors that will affect the campaigning, uh, you know, work. This is related to personal communication, how well communication is, open, how well the channels of communication are open. Okay, then mass media communication, basically how well we are able to actually send a message and use the mass media to actually send a message to the people. Then factors like education also includes, because education plays a very important role in awareness, creating awareness among the people. Public relations is the activities designed to establish and maintain credibility with the public. So how well our campaign is able to make good PR or public relations. Advocacy is, like advocating these campaign, lobbying for the campaign. That is something which is very important. And what are the things that we need to consider before we start an awareness program? First of all, we have to decide the target audiences. Secondly, awareness, there is a need for the awareness programs. Okay, we see that people are made aware of the issue, and they get proper information about this. And messaging, a good message is basically what motivates and energizes the public. So a good message should is something which is very important. There have been a number of successful public awareness, campaigns which have, taken a lot of, which have done a lot of work, credible work in this, like Chetna, for example. That's an NGO which is working towards empowerment of street and working children. They are doing some really good work. Then Breakthrough, again, this is an initiative with focus on human rights activities. Jagori is basically working on the documentation training and advocacy campaigning in partnership with stakeholders. And you have Earth India, which is basically striving for attainment of better health for the community. Sama is basically for developing the broader understanding of women's health. CHSJ is basically working on strengthening the claim of citizens pertaining to any health related rights. Okay, and Tarshi is again talking about reproductive and sexual health issues. So these are some of the campaigns that have really made a very strong impact socially on the particular issues that they have covered. Finally, come to the linkage of awareness campaigns with other methods of social work. Now, awareness campaigns, as we know, that they are relevant to all methods, whether we talk about, you know, casework or we talk about group work. Casework, for example, awareness campaign, making the person aware about various about the issues, giving him or her information, and helping him or her in coming up with solutions to the problems based on that information. Then this is again goes similar for social group work and community organization work, where these awareness campaigns are actually effective in providing increasing the knowledge base and providing awareness to the group or the community, whatever the case may be. Then social welfare administration, again, they can be also made aware about a lot of issues, and related to a particular challenge that which may be there in the society. So social welfare administration, they are also helped through these awareness campaigns. It helps them to actually makes their work all the more you know easier. Then social action again is promoted through these awareness campaigns, because people, they get motivated, they get the information, required information and knowledge because of these awareness campaigns. Social work research and an awareness campaign. Research can provide good facts, new facts, to such campaigns. It can provide new information to which we may use in our awareness campaigns. So this is again some of the important, um you can say, some of the important relationship between the two. Then networking and awareness campaign is important, because when we are driving an awareness campaign, we have to build networks, strong networks, so that it can be the area, overall the area, and the approach of the campaign can be increased. We can have more and more people who can actually work for us. We can have by improving our network, we can definitely increase our chances of having a successful campaign, awareness campaign. We will be getting a lot of help from our other networking partners. A lot of knowledge dissemination can happen. Then advocacy and awareness campaigns, they also both go hand in hand, because advocacy may also provide, may aid the awareness campaigns by, promoting their promoting these awareness campaigns, or awareness campaign may also be used as a source for our advocacy methods. So both of them are, in that way, they are related to each other. So whenever we are advocating for a person, whenever we are advocating for a particular issue, then it becomes all the more easier if there is an awareness campaign already being done, and people are already getting information about these about the issue. So advocating for that issue becomes all the more important. And on the same similar manner, these awareness campaigns also get a lot of impetus from advocates, like people who are into advocacy, and they will definitely give their they give their information, give their experiences, share their experiences, share the knowledge that they have had over these years of working. And in a way, the awareness campaigns can benefit a lot from the advocacy uh, method. Then public interest litigation and awareness campaign, again, we have already discussed that public interest litigation can actually promote the awareness campaigns. And awareness campaigns on the similar manner can have a very positive impact on the, uh, you know, um, uh, uh, on how the public interest litigation is considered in the court of law. So all of these two go hand in hand. Resource mobilization and awareness campaign are important because resource mobilization is required for any awareness campaign. We need funds, we need resources to have a successful campaign. And at the same time, awareness campaign may also help in increasing the resource mobilization. uh, so both are again interrelated. And in a similar manner, strengths-based practice and awareness campaign are also important or interrelated, because awareness campaign will will help to give information and knowledge to an individual, which can be used to improvise the strengths and capability of the individual. And at the same time, increasing the capability of the individual will help us to have more and more people in the awareness campaign, work for our awareness campaign. We can have a more participation from the side of the people because of the strengths based practice. So this is how various uh, methods, contemporary methods, they are relevant today, and they can be practiced with other methods also. And these have a very strong impact on the work of the social worker. They promote the overall influence or effectiveness of whatever interventions that we are planning. And in the changing realities, in the way the society is at present, all these methods, they go a long way in basically helping the practice and the discipline of social work. So this was all about the second block. We will be joining again in the next class. I think it is probably on Monday. So we will be meeting again on Monday at the same time. And meanwhile, thank you so much for joining me for the class today. Thank you so much.